Okay, good morning, committee members, fellow teachers, and high school students. As you know, a lot of people from each class, or a few people from each class, went to NASA this year. And this is a short presentation about our trip. Okay, the NASA Space School was conducted in Houston, Texas. It's a new program that was developed by Dave Brown and NASA to educate students from the ages 12 to 18. The school is a dynamic, hands-on activity-based program incorporating NASA's space programs, missions that have been developed over the last 50 years. All the students were expected to work together in teams of 5 to 6 to design, build, and test various projects. The students needed to use creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, and practical real-life engineering skills. There were 5 teams performing several complex tasks related to the ongoing Mars mission. The past, present, and future missions to the planets, the moons, the asteroids, and comets within our solar system are incorporated into each daily activity. The NASA Space School in Houston has been attended in the past few years by several countries from outside the US. This includes Mexico, Japan, India, China, and now Thailand. They have all taken advantage of this school. There were 28 students attending this school from our program, 20 students from IP, and this was from IP 7 to IP 10, plus 2 recent graduates who are now in universities in Bangkok. There were also 8 students from the KUSIP multilingual program in Chonburi from grades 9 to 12. In our group, we had 2 chaperones, Dr. Manmat and myself. There was a lot of preparation needed to get ready for this program. We needed to prepare, especially the younger students, in experience in science for these hands-on construction, designing, and building testing skills. Of equal importance was educating them in the history of past missions into space so they could appreciate more the NASA experience. Therefore, we began weekly meetings back in March to research and communicate the engineering and other information about NASA. Past, present, and future missions, discoveries, and accomplishments by NASA in space. And also, we realized there was many spin-off applications such as inventions, discoveries that have been developed in our everyday and used in our everyday lives as a result of this space exploration. Okay, so I'll pass it over to the students of IP10, and they'll show you their presentation.
Good morning, teachers and students. We are the students that went to Johnson Space Center. I'm Nantawan from grade 10.
I'm Sanpot from grade 10.
So our presentation would based on what we did in the space school. Please enjoy.
On the first day in the space school, they took us on a tram tour around Johnson Space Center and took us on the Moon Yard and the Mars Yard, which they simulate rocket launching and rovers landing in a specific terrain. The left-hand side is the Mars landing yard and the right-hand side is the Moon's landing yard. Next, we went to Building 35, which is our classroom. They gave us a broad and general lecture about determining geological entities on Mars. They used an instrument called spectrometer. It would record the color emitted by the given rock and record its frequency, and they would graphically compare it and analyze what type of rock it is. Lastly, is the most exciting activity that we did is building a rover. We got a huge amount of fictitious fortune, which is used to purchase items to construct our rovers. The rovers are expected to be able to record the rock's spectrum or attach to a spectrometer, to be able to pick up rocks and to be able to move. All of the functions got carried by a single controller. From day one activities, we got to use our knowledge on construction, mechanics, and engineering. So we got to be creative in our construction and all the designs got a little bit different. It really sparks our interest on future careers as an architect or an engineer. And overall, it is a very beneficial activity.
On the second day, we did the water filtration. In the space, water filtration is very important to recycle dirty water for the astronauts to be able to use it. So this is the picture of the cup. Each group would receive 2 cups. The first cup, we would put the material that we have to make for the filtration. Another cup is the cup of dirty water, which it is water mixed with cereals and some yellow stuff which is very dirty. So we have to filter water twice. And we put the yellowish water in this filter first. And then we got the resultant water. And then we put the resultant water again. And that water would be experimented if it is clear or not. So this is the group of one of the filter. And we can see that he is holding the water filter and the water would come out. And it is not good because we can see that the water is still yellowish. And this is my group, and this is Ash. And he is holding the water filter, and the resultant water is quite good, but the second time it's dirty because it takes the dirty material out again. And one of the group, they use the aquarium stone, which make the water to be very blue, and it's not good. So the material would be charcoal, sand, pebbles, and stone and aquarium stone. We have to choose the best material and we have to use it wisely too.
So our third day at NASA, they took us to the Starship Gallery, which is a hall of retired spaceship NASA has used on previous missions. Like this one. This one is a Apollo capsule. And this is the mock-up of the Skylab, which is the first space station of man. They also showcase the newest rocket NASA has built, which is called the Orion, which is the capsule that would take humans to Mars eventually. One of the key features there was the Explorer 1 satellite. It was the first American satellite to orbit the Earth to the space race with the Soviet Union. They also showcased the Mercury project. This is a Mercury capsule, the first capsule man has ever built to go into space. And following the Mercury project was the Gemini project. The Gemini project was designed to pioneer the technologies for man to go into space and do the Apollo missions, which would later send man into the moon. And the task of the Gemini missions. One of the tasks of the Gemini missions was EVAs, or extravehicular activity, which was the first time that they sent a man into a vacuum of space, like this astronaut over here and here. We also went to see the space rocks collected from the moon here. Our second task that day was building a rocket, which everyone enjoyed, like here. Our rocket was 2-stage, meaning that it has 2 boosters. One is the ground booster here, and one is the actual rocket here.
On the 4th day, we did the heat shield. The heat shield is very important for the NASA's mission because its job is to protect the rover and other machines that would explore the planet. So when the shuttle came into the gravitational force of the planet, it would start burning up. So if we have the good heat shield quality, it would protect the rover, but if it is bad quality, it wouldn't protect the rover. So this is the picture of 5 heat shields of each group, and it would have to be restricted size and restricted thickness. So every group would use the foil to protect the outside layer. And the task was to have a raw egg and have the heat shield slanted to the raw egg. And we would put the blowtorch on the strongest point of the heat shield, which each group would have to mark where is it. So the blowtorch would blow up the heat shield for 30 seconds, but if the egg is still raw and white, the group would win. But if the egg is cooked or cracked, it would show that the heat shield is low quality and it couldn't protect the rover. So this is my group's heat shield, and we use the foil and the bubble wrap, which it protects very good. But the bad point of it is the tape, because the tape would caught on fire and it would heat up the heat shield, which would it would heat up the egg too. This is the example of the group that have the egg burned up. So we can see that there is the hole on the middle of the heat shield, and which the fire can just directly cook the egg. So this is the blowtorch, and it would burn up the heat shield directly.
Well, and here's a day 5, or our final day at the Space Center. At this day, we get to do some more things that are quite different from the previous days. For example, we get to go to the pool tour, which is one of the biggest pool in the America. And we get to participate in the astronaut presentation by Clay C. Anderson and get to scuba dive. And we get to go to the mission control tour, which I think was pretty cool. And we get to have a party at the Starship Gallery, which Sanpot had presented about. For the first part of the day, we get to go to the NBL, or the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory Visitors Gallery, which is somewhere we can go to visit. And this gallery is also known as the Sonny Carter Pool. And Sonny Carter is one of the NASA's highly achieved crew. He was a soccer athlete, US Navy a pilot before he became an astronaut. So this pool named after him for his honor. For this pool, basically it's the pool where the astronauts get to train. They're gonna have the astronaut get to feel this state, call it the neutral buoyancy. And the neutral buoyancy is the state where there's no rising up or falling down without any gravity, exactly like the space. So this is why they had chosen the water to let the astronaut train in. It's an actual pool where the astronaut trains. And for the left side is the suit for the astronaut that they have to wear when they got scuba dive in the pool. And these are the past astronauts that had trained in this center. And this is Sonny Carter. So the pool was pretty cool. It's the actual pool where they have a copy of the actual space mission of them submerged under the water. And as I say, it is one of the biggest pools in the US. And the reason they have to do this is because they want the astronauts to get the best stimulation ground for the space walk, or the EVA. The EVA is when they have to do the mission in the outer space, and they have to practice for a long time. And each time the astronauts practice, they're gonna have 4 scuba dive, the professional ones, taking care of them. They have to train a lot because in the real situation, for example, in the outer space, they cannot fail because there is only one chance available. So they have to get everything perfect, including having a hard practice. And the top picture there is the top picture is the actual EVA, and the bottom one is the astronauts training in the pool. Next, we get to participated and watched the presentation by Clayton C. Anderson. He is one of the NASA's astronauts, and he presented about his EVA or the spacewalk experiences and his interest in space as a child, which inspired him to become an astronaut today. It was very funny, and we get to know a lot of things from this guy. The next part is the actual mission control. They no longer use this mission because NASA is no longer sending rockets to outer space like in the past, at least now. But here is where they actually control things. The Apollos or other various important missions and space shuttles were controlled here, although they were launched in Florida. They also have the flags showed here, which actually went to the moon already. And here is the farewell party at the Starship Gallery. Since it's the last day there, so we get to have the party in the museum. And so it was pretty interesting. Thank you.
Okay, and now I want to make a conclusion about the very good experience that we get and learn from spending 5 days at Johnson Space Center, Houston. We have learned new stuff in Space Center. We get more experience to know about NASA, space technology, and how they research space and other planets like Mars. NASA gave us a budget in US dollar that we have to use to finish our project. That they give us what we need to do is use the lowest amount of money as we can. The winner will be the best team who use the lowest amount of money, make the best product, and get the highest score. In center, we need to work in a group with our friend and new friend that we never know before, that are older and younger. This makes we feel like we work in real life, because in real life we need to work with other people that we never met before. In Johnson Space Center, we need to have very good teamwork to be the best team. But it is very hard to work with people that we never met before. But it is fun to work with new friends that we don't know and in the new place that we never been before. In this trip, we can organize our thinking better than before and have more experience, more inspiration, and have the best memory with friends. It is good for a person who has interesting about the planet, space, technology, and astronomy. This is a very good chance for people life to know about NASA.
Well, when we talk about going to NASA camp or science camp, people often think that we're gonna get to know knowledges in science field or space science. But in the real way, we get to know many more things, not just in the science. For example, we get to learn how to work in teams, work with other people. And then we get to know many things. For example, we get to know about the scuba dive. We get to know some historical backgrounds of the NASA or even the US history. So it was a very good camp.
You also get to apply your knowledge just in school that you learn here to NASA, and keep your knowledge just in NASA to use at school and your other future works. This is also a good chance for you to connect to your juniors and seniors to form a successful high school life. So we would like to encourage you to go to NASA next year. So is there any questions?
All right, so this is a short presentation of what we experienced at NASA. And what we noticed, the experience wasn't from a lot of book work on memorizing facts and ideas, but by hands-on activities. So this experience of learning, I think, will last much longer and will have more meaning than other traditional kinds of rote learning. So I'm sure all the students, as I have, will appreciate and have appreciated the value of the whole trip, and this should last for our whole lives. So I'd like to thank everybody and dismiss you so you can go to your classes. Okay.